जो हिसाब रे हमें शेड्यूल बनेछु ना टेस्ट सीरीज रो तो हमें ट्राई करबा कि से हिसाब रे हमें माने कवर करो किछिरा हमें रिकॉर्डिंग क्लास भी तुमको दे देबु जेमति कि चैप्टर 2 चैप्टर 3 रो एबे जो माने हम रेगुलर क्लासरूम स्टूडेंट थिले बे सोनालिका तापरे रूपेश माने तो जानी थिबे कि एक्चुअली से दीटा क्लास जो चैप्टर 2 चैप्टर 3 टा ता डिटेल्स नोट प्लस तार क्लास गुडा को हम तुमको प्रोवाइड कर देबो हला सेटा एक्चुअली सौरभ सर क्लास नै थिले तो से बहुत डिटेल्स रे पढै चंती हला बैच रे तो सेति पई हमें तार रिकॉर्डिंग प्रोवाइड कर दो सेटा जितले टेस्ट आसीबो एबे फर्स्ट टेस्ट हमर अछि कि तमरो कार्ल मार्क्स डॉर्कहाइम आ वेबर रो गोटे किछि पार्ट ब्यूरोक्रेसी पर्यंत बता
सर अथॉरिटी कहथिले
हां अथॉरिटी पर्यंत अछि ना एटा से शेड्यूल को टिके समस्त बोधे टिके कंफ्यूज हो छ मु एक मिनिट ये कर दी एक मिनट मु जानसी जॉइन लेगे ओके मु जस्ट एक मिनिट के ये कहि दिए और ठीक अछि फर्स्ट क्लास करू तापर हम कथा हेबा ओके झांसी मैम तमर क्लास नेबे अछि हला कार्ल मार्क्स रिवीजन क्लास सरला परे समस्त फीडबैक देबो ओके ओके झांसी मैम यू आर होस्ट नाउ
Okay, sir. Good evening, everyone. My voice is clear to all.
yes ma'am
Okay. So today we are here going to discuss it is like a quick recap or a revision about Karl Marx, which I am pretty sure you have already studied and you have a good idea about it, right? So before proceeding, I would ask you a question. Ebe sabu thinkers jetki bhi tame पढ़ी थिबो up till now, Max Weber hela ki Durkheim hela तांको गोटे कीवर्ड सहित तमे एसोसिएट करूछ कि do you do something like that, like for example when it comes to Durkheim, I associate him with keywords like solidarity, then equilibrium, or integration, which he mostly talked about. He talked about social solidarity, stability, right? And then coming to Max Weber, he talked about power, authority, bureaucracy. So these are the key words that I relate to them. Similarly, if I ask you what you could relate with Karl Marx, what kind of keywords you would relate with him?
ma'am alienation class struggle
Yes.
then ma'am consciousness ma'am then economic determinism and
That is basically his theory, but I am talking about the overview. Jentiki Durkheim mostly solidarity bisare koithile, how everything is functional in the society, and ultimately whatever is happening in the society is bringing the people together, right? Social solidarity, stability. Hente Weber power, authority, bureaucracy bisare koithile. Sente Karl Marx ro main concept ta kono?
Ma'am, ma'am, capitalism.
Capitalism. Conflict, capitalism. He is also known as the
material reality.
सेटा तो तांकर कांसेप्ट गुडा को गला, but key terms गुडा को जोड़ा से frequently all over his all through his theory that he used. Yes,
Haves and have-nots.
Haves and have-nots part of his theory. It's not something we can associate with like keyword. को mostly जोड़ा keyword हिसाब रे तुम यूज करि परबो. Class struggle हला, alienation हला, तापरे conflict हला. He is also known as the father of communism and socialism. Okay. Second thing, when it comes to understanding Karl Marx, we need to understand some few words, few terminologies. How he said that our society transition from a primitive communism, and the end is the communism in the society. From primitive communism, the next is what kind of society? Slavery, right? Then feudal society, then capitalism, then socialism, then communism, right? So mostly in his theory, he stressed about these three kinds of society, which is your capitalism, capitalist society, or your socialism and your communism. These three words are very important for you to understand, right? So first, what do you understand by the term capitalism? And meanwhile, I'm sharing my screen. Can anyone say what do you understand by the term capitalism?
And according to Marx, capitalism is a stage where the historical evolution, stage is capitalism को consider करते
Stage. So capitalism रे कौन हुए? Mostly देखिबो से economic basis रे तांकर theory गुड़ा को देचंदी, right? How केंती due to the availability or non-availability of resources and the relation with the production, your FOP, ROP, modes of production, relation of production, forces of production, ita to sabu jani thibo, right? Mu hitki or deep ko jibini. But due to these things, how conflict arise in the society, right? So resource is the base. Au I resource को base करके आमर सोसाइटी रे सरप्लस जनरेशन होची, सरप्लस जनरेशन थ्रू रु के गुटे अधिक कंट्रोल कला बळको के टिके कि बिल्कुल कंट्रोल करि पार नाहंती, right? There is haves and there is have nots. So on the basis of that, what is capitalism in simple term? It means private ownership, right? Capitalism in simple terms means inclusion of your private ownership. Then what do you understand by socialism and communism?
Community ownership thibo resource रे सेटा communism thibo.
Okay. And socialism?
Socialism माने
society characterized by the equality.
Okay. अच्छा गुटे socialist country रो example दियो मते.
India.
No, India is not completely socialist. India को हमें mixed economy कोई परिबो, okay?
Germany.
USSR.
USSR is absolutely correct. USSR, okay? तो सेटा उडा socialist country केंती एबे देखो USSR and present day Russia को जदि भी हमें नला, present day condition को हमें जदि नला, then there are private companies in Russia, right? But then again, there is also the government involvement. Putin doesn't listen anybody in front of him. But this government sector and private sector are correlated because Putin also is dependent on these private companies for the economic development of the country, right? So there is, we can say USSR and also the present day Russia also, we can say as a socialist country. And communism, what is communism?
The society is characterized by the equality.
Equality. अच्छा, communist society रो गुटे example दे पारिबो present day.
China.
China.
China and North Korea. But they are mostly extremist communist society. Okay, से माने extreme communism practice करजंती. Okay, जोटा कि हमें गुटे criticism नहीं पारिबा about Karl Marx that he frequently talked about communism as the ultimatum, right? It is the ultimate state of the society. Society जोटा develop हेगी, progress हेगी from a very simple primitive communist society to a communism, socialism ro communism asibo. But he never really said how to attain this communism, right? Exactly communism रे केंती हमें attain करिबा and what should be done in a communist society. सेटा से बहुत deeply explain करनथिले, which is why you will see most of the society or country who claim themselves as a communist society, they they perform or they practice extreme communism, right? Example hegala tomorrow China, North Korea, etc. So my screen is visible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So tomorrow 80 main topics hochi historical materialism, alienation, class struggle. ता भितरे भी केतडा अंति concept हिजवा जंती polarization of classes, right? Commodity fetishism, commodity fetishism related है तुम्हारा reification एंती केतरा terminology which will basically help you to enhance your answer writing, right? So as you know, Karl Marx was born in Germany. Now he was a Jewish origin. Tangor origin ta Jewish origin, and I am pretty much sure you are very familiar about the situation of Germany back then when there was Nazi party ruling on Germany. How they were completely against the Jewish people, anti-Semitism, Semitism, right? And how this hatred towards the Jewish people led to the Holocaust. So Karl Marx भी गुटे Jewish थिले वो, and he was born in Prussia basically. से time रे Prussia, Hungary, Germany सेटा सब गुटे you know गुटे conglomeration थिला गुटे एका संगे से मना गुटे country सब रे identify होतिले तांगर गुटे dominion हिसाब रे. So सेतले he was a Jewish, and due to the severe consequences and situation in Germany at that time, Nazi Germany, he flew to Paris. Okay, he flew to Paris to escape from the Holocaust that was happening during Nazi Germany. So seta thankor tike background story thila. How why he talked mostly about your industrialization dekhibo se time ro industrialization ro story se time ro se inspired hi chanti, right? Industrialization, then commercial aspect bisore se bahut commercial society bisore se bahut कथा हिचंती, and economic basis रे तांकर theory सब दे चंती. Why? What is the reason? In order to understand the theories of Karl Marx, we need to understand where he is coming from, right? So reason being, at that time after World War One, ठीक है, history रो गुटे short insight दोची एते deep को जीवानी. After World War One, what happened was mostly all the economic burden was there on Germany, because this Germany and its partners, they were defeated in World War One. तो जितकी भी सबू economic burden ही वाला सबू Germany को पड़ेला. So now Germany was facing a severe economic crisis. से टाइम रे तमरो recession भी आस्थिला, global economic depression भी हिथिला, right? तो से through Germany was relentlessly trying to revive its economy, and during that process there was a lot of industrialization, urbanization, and this whole commercial acceleration happened in Germany. So whatever Karl Marx witnessed in his time due to this massive economic crisis and this process to revive this economic through this your economic crisis, whatever changes that happened in the society, basically through that he gave his theory. Okay, so this is your small detail about Karl Marx. Now coming to first tomorrow historical materialism, ame say to start kariba hala. We first saw about what is socialism, what is communism, and now capitalism. Next is your historical materialism. Before going to that, Karl Marx ro keteda inspiration thile. We can say their guru. Can you name them?
Feuerbach.
Feuerbach. His inspiration. Most of his theories are inspired by Hegel
and Feuerbach.
Feuerbach, Ludwig Feuerbach. Out Engels. Right? So, a tinta jo social thinkers achanti, he was very inspired by them, and on that basis he gave his theory. Now coming to historical materialism, the topic historical materialism, he gave this theory from two thinkers. One is Hegel,
Feuerbach.
Another is Feuerbach. Right? So before that, tomorrow communist manifesto Das Capital to tame jani thibo au ta bisore me kotha bini. Communist manifesto जोड़ा book थिला तांकर Das Capital तो से नीचे पब्लिश करथिले. Communist manifesto कहाँ से तो बेसिक पब्लिश करथिले? Who was the co-author? Your angels. Okay, mone rakhithibo. Tango book ro likhi dochi. Communist Manifesto. Karl Marx plus your Friedrich Engels. Anyways, now coming to historical materialism again. So historical materialism say materialism जो concept आसला सेटा से नहीं from whom? Feuerbach, right? तो तांकर ये जो theory को कहा जाए Karl Marx theory of dialectical materialism. Okay, dialectic materialism. Okay, so as I said, materialism he took it from Feuerbach, and dialectics रो concept ता कोठु ने थिले from
Hegel. Idealism. Right.
So idealism जोड़ा से concept branch out हेची तमरो dialectics जोड़ा Marx रेतले. Now Marx was disagreeing with the concept of idealism that was given by Hegel. So he gave his own idea. Okay, he gave his own theory. He didn't agree with the concept of idealism. It mo include कर दीजिए. Okay. Idealism theory what it stands for. So Marx didn't agree with the idea of idealism that was given by Hegel, but he sort of took that idea and gave his own theory. So core idea of historical materialism re tomara asibo. Historical here refers to the dimension of time and history, how societies and human relations have developed and transformed. Materialism aspect refers to the idea that material condition, the economic and the physical aspect of life play a fundamental role in shaping human societal development. Through this, he gave his idea of historical or dialectical materialism. So dialectics mane kono bujucho? What do you understand by dialectics?
Contradiction.
Contradictions.
Contradiction, right? So basically contradiction kemti hochi arise. There will be a thesis,
Antithesis,
and synthesis. यार contradiction रो कोन होची गुटे synthesis होची. Synthesis of what? A new idea. So thesis a idea, antithesis anti idea we can say, and this contradiction leads to a new idea. Okay, this is what your dialectics is based upon. Now a dialectical idealism जोड़ा मैं कहूँ given by your Hegel and Feuerbach materialism. Hegel और Feuerbach. ताको से मिसे दिले who? Karl Marx, and he gave his own concept of dialectic materialism. And as before I have given in the slide already, he studied this relation all through the history, which is why he said this theory as historical materialism. He studied this history of relations with the forces of production and the mode of productions and how this evolved through the various stages of society, which is why he said this as historical. Okay, historical materialism. Now I have summarized this with this diagrams. Gute diagram higala eta tomoro dialectics ro thesis, antithesis और synthesis जोड़ा होची. tomorrow starting ru eta de dechi patricians, then plebeians, then it gave rise to feudal lords and manorial serfs ro jo conflict hela, that gave rise to your capitalist system, and then this capitalist and proletarian workers ru kona habo, it will give rise to socialism, then lastly communism. So एथिरे गोटे इंटरमीडिएट स्टेज टे आसीबो there will be intermediate stage before this transition happen there will be an intermediate stage which is said as the what so term ko kona baje
dictatorship of proletariat
exactly dictatorship of so you can use these diagrams in your answer writing as well hela tumko jodi explain karba thiba about this dialectical materialism kono so you can use this examples dekhi to I have taken this from Google itself. Okay, there are various other diagrams that you can find which will be very helpful for you when you will add it in your answer writing. It will give you some brownie points, right? तो तापरे एटा भी गुटे डायलेक्टिकल मटेरियलिज्म रा गुटे तमरो डायग्राम टा मु नेची ना ऑल थ्रू द सोसाइटी क्लास कॉन्फ्लिक्ट अराइज हिची बोली से कहिचंती ओके सो क्लास कॉन्फ्लिक्ट को टिके परे जिबा ता पूर्वरु आमे जेंति देखुचु हिस्टोरिकल मटेरियलिज्म परे your society is transitioning according to Karl Marx from primitive communism then slavery then feudal system or feudalism feudal society asibo capitalism modern capitalization jota then your socialism and your communism now this transition that is happening from one type of society to another type of society according to Karl Marx he said that this transition is not smooth okay he said this transition is violent why violent because it leads to bloody revolution it results into bloody revolution what a bloody revolution habo tapre society re gote transition period aibo gote change over to a new form of society so when he talked about capitalist society there are your in capitalist society re basically duita classes achi what are these classes
bourgeois and proletariat
bourgeois and proletariat so bourgeois is your owning class
haves class
yes we can say they are the haves and then have nots or the working class or the labor class तो तांको भीतर जितले conflict हबो class conflict arise हबो this conflict will lead to a violent or a revolution which is very bloody revolution he said conflict is going to be very violent it is not smooth okay so एटा को based ही कि mostly he gave his theory it is based on economic his theory is based on economic basis and capitalist society all right तो ए जो ट्रांजिशन को से कौन डिस्क्राइब करथिले इस ट्रांजिशन जो बेसिस अछि ट्रांजिशन को बेस करिके से सोसाइटी को गुटे डिफाइन करथिले and he said that society is interrelatable and mutable so you can use this statement according to Karl Marx society is interrelatable and mutable so what do you understand by this term interrelatable and mutable that interrelatable part jota asla interrelatable means there are different classes and these classes are dependent upon one another your bourgeois is dependent upon the proletariat for their labor power, and these proletariats are dependent upon the bourgeois for wage, so they are interrelatable. Mutable in the sense that society is dynamic, it is not fixed, and it keeps changing, right? It keeps changing. From primitive communism to we saw slavery, then feudalism, then capitalism. It is changing, and this change, according to him, this transition / change is due to a revolution in the society, and this revolution is not smooth, it is violent. It is a violent revolution. Got it? So tapre etre tomaro pole asibo why this revolution is happening. A revolution ta hochi ame jodi capitalist society ro consider kariba, why this revolution is happening? Can you tell me, anyone?
मैम
Because
क्लासिंग
yes, these are
इटसेल्फ करू
conflicting.
क्लास फॉर इटसेल्फ हे जानते जो कॉन्शियसनेस आसी जाए देन दे रिवोल्ट.
Yes. So amar eti concept pole asibo gute
Plus consciousness.
class in itself to class for itself. So class for itself or class in itself, it duita tomorrow concept wherein class for itself is based on the consciousness of what? That we are being exploited by the bourgeois. Okay, it is the realization. Yes or no? It is the realization of exploitation that they are facing in the society. They develop a class consciousness. Okay. It is a class consciousness coach. This is happening in the entire class and not just only one individual. It's a class consciousness ki develop korchi your proletariat. So this class consciousness is happening in the entire proletariat class. Each and every proletariat are realizing that they are being exploited, and not just a group of proletariats or a single member or 2 or 3 members of proletariat classes. The entire class is realizing this. Okay, due to which there is a class consciousness. Okay, so Karl Marx class consciousness of class conflict bisore ko book re dekhle tankoro, which is the book where he talked about this class conflict, basically about class conflict bisore ko book re pathaithle. Is it Communist Manifesto or it is Das Kapital? Kodhre?
Das Kapital.
Yes. So he talked about class and class conflict in his book Das Kapital. Okay. Class is from a Latin word called classes. Okay. Classes means division of people. Right? So in Das Kapital, he said, or he talked about 3 classes. What are these 3 classes? Any idea?
Haves and have-nots and some intermediate class.
Haves and have-nots concept take पर है सोचे 3टा classes कौन थिला?
Owners plus worker plus.
First तमरो हिजबो worker class or workers, और तांगु कहथिले से salaried class. Why they are working? For the wage, for the salary. Okay, the salaried class. तापर आसले capitalist. And third one is your landowners. Landowners, rich landowners, after a point of time, they also started to accumulate wealth, and they also started to produce or indulge into production. and they also became capitalist. Then it was narrowed down to again two classes in the capitalist society, two important classes in the capitalist society, which are your workers and the bourgeois or the capitalist, basically. Now, in class conflict ର କଣ ହଉଛି? If we summarize, what is class conflict? What a simple way ରେ ତମେ ମତେ ବୁଝ. How you will say that? What is class conflict?
It is the conflict of interest between two classes.
What are these two classes?
Owners class and haves class and have nots class.
So we can say this is the battle between the haves and the haves not, which is why there is a conflict in the society, class conflict. This class conflict
जस्ट 2 मिनट वेट करो हां तांकर ये माने टैप टा कोन हैंग हे
Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay. मोर जूम एप्लीकेशन टा हैंग ही जाइथिला बिल्कुल. Okay. तो मु लास्ट कोठुथिली what we were discussing.
मैम क्लास कॉन्फ्लिक्ट जस्ट कहथिले बैटल बिटवीन हैव एंड हैव नॉट.
Okay. Then I talked about how you determine this class. Okay. So I was basically saying that how you determine this class. तो सेटरे मु गोटे ऑब्जेक्टिव क्राइटेरिया और सब्जेक्टिव क्राइटेरिया कथा कहथिली. तो हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट इट?
नो मैम.
ठीक एक्सप्लेन करबो के?
ऑब्जेक्टिव क्राइटेरिया माने तांकर एक्सप्लॉइट माने सब्जेक्टिव क्राइटेरिया माने तेठो माने दे आर बीइंग एक्सप्लॉइटेड बाय द बुर्जुआस और कैपिटलिस्ट जो माने अछि सेटा सब्जेक्टिव क्राइटेरिया. ऑब्जेक्टिव क्राइटेरिया माने तांकर जो लोक माने अछि जो माने वर्कर्स माने दे नो ईच अदर्स. सेटा तांकर ऑब्जेक्टिव क्राइटेरिया. माने दे आर
Okay, perfect. Basically they know each other, but there is no such thing about this consciousness about what is happening among them, right? So basically objective criteria रे तमरो खाली दुईटा अछि, ownership, the idea of ownership and non ownership relation. एतकी रे सेटा होई जाउची. Okay, so basically we can say your objective criteria is class in itself, the stage of class in itself. Whereas your subjective criteria kono hobo? There is a consciousness of belonging to a class, and that these particular class, especially your proletariat class, is being exploited by the bourgeois, right? So this is consciousness of belonging to a class. Okay, and also the consciousness that bourgeois or the capitalist are exploiting your proletariats or the workers. Okay, so we can say in short that this is your class for itself. Got it? तो यही रिलेटेड गुडे जिनस गुडे टर्म सॉरी गुडे स्टेटमेंट है कार्ल मार्क्स कहिथिले. It goes like this: each seed sows the seed of its own destruction. Sorry, each stage sows the seed of its own destruction बोली कहिथिले. So if we see the concept of dialectical materialism, ସେଥିରେ बेसिकली कोन होची class conflict आमे जदि ए स्टेज ता देखिबा. First came your primitive communism where there was no classes, there was no concept of classes. Then came your slavery system. There was a slave owners and there was slave. Now there was conflict of interest, we can say, or battle happened between these two classes, and your slave rised against the slave owners. Now there is a revolution in the society. Now slowly society is transitioned into feudalism. There is your landowners and serf. Serf are the subordinates of your landowners. Now these landowners were exploiting the serf who were working on their lands. Now then they got consciousness. They rise against these landowners. There was conflict, and slowly society transitioned into capitalist society. And this capitalist society, again, the same history is repeating. Your bourgeois is trying to exploit the proletariat. Then proletariat will gain consciousness and will rise against the bourgeois. So basically what is happening in all the stages we saw, each stages is planting a seed of its own destruction. There will happen some kind of we can say conflict of interest, or a again idea and a anti-idea conflict between these ideas. Then there will be a new idea that emerge. So what is happening basically, one stage will be completely there will be a downfall of one stage which will rise into a new stage. There will be a change in society. Again, it goes back to the same saying what Karl Marx said, that this change is not smooth, it is going to be bloody or violent, which is why he used this term destruction. Okay, तो से जिनसको से कहिथिले each stage sows the seed of its own destruction. Okay, so this change जोटा destruction से कहउचंती basically a destruction गुटे change को create करूची in the society, and this change is revolutionary. Okay, so this is basically why there is class conflict in your society. Class conflict से को book रे देथिले आ सेटा सब तापरे तमरा आ गुटे concept आसीबो about polarization of classes. What do you understand by the term polarization of classes? कोन बुझुचो?
मैम जो एट द एंड दीटा ही क्लास रहबो. फॉर एग्जांपल जेमती थांती बुर्जुआ रहला, प्रोलेटार रहला, मधरे किछिटा अछि जेमती लंपेन प्रोलेटारिएट हे गेला, पेटी बुर्जुआ हे गेला. तो एट द से गुडा जाय कि मिक्स हे जो आइदर पूरा गोटे बुर्जुआ रहबे नले पूरा गोटे प्रोलेटारिएट रहबे.
ओके, सो गोटे स्टेज 1 माने सबुटु ऊपर की अछि बोर्जा अछि आ सबुटु तळे तमर प्रोलेटारिएट, राइट? सो मजिरो से क्लास को कोन कहा जाय?
पेटी बुर्जुआ.
ना, गुडे से टर्म ते कहिथिले कार्ल मार्क्स. एटा जदि मु एबे लेट मी शो यू इन अ डायग्राम. टिक चिंता करो से भीतर गुड टर्म ते कहिथिले. गुडे बोर्जुआ, गुडे प्रोलेटारिएट, अनदर So here comes your bourgeois, capitalist. Here comes your proletariat, class, working class. मझिरे किए अछंती? Now, as you have studied about class consciousness, class for itself asile kon habo class consciousness develop habo among this proletariat class, and they will realize that the bourgeois is exploiting them, right? So what this bourgeois will do, they will try to delay this realization. Okay, so mane chahibe hi nahi ki kebe se proletariat class, they will not want that proletariat class gain this consciousness that they are being exploited. Now who is going to help them? There is another class of people is known as superstructure. Yes or no? सुनिथिलो कि नहीं superstructure?
Yes.
Right. Superstructure will come in the middle. So they basically do the role of supporting the capitalist. They support the capitalist. So they whatever, whenever they will see a situation happening in the society where they will notice that this proletariat class is slowly realizing that these bourgeois are trying to suppress them or are exploiting them. So setala kono karibe, this superstructure will do something that will deviate their attention towards a different topic altogether. Okay, so semane distract hi gale kono habo, bourgeois will continue to dominate over this proletariat class. And who does this? The superstructure. The superstructure helps the capitalist maintain their domination in the capitalist society. Got it? Now, who are the superstructure? Who consist of this superstructure?
Ma'am, religion, education.
Religion ठीक कहलो हला. Religion, तापरे court, तमर bureaucratic system, हला. These people work in the favor of bourgeois. This is what your Karl Marx said. Your religion, then your courts and bureaucratic system, they help the bureaucrats to brainwash. Help the bureaucrats to brainwash the proletariat so that they never develop this class consciousness and they keep dominating in the structure, in this whole social structure. Okay.
Madam, से Karl Marx ଗୋଟେ minority revolution ର ବି କଥା କହୁଥିଲେ, ଯେତେବେଳେ transition ହବ different stages ରେ, ସେତେବେଳେ minority revolution ବି ଆସୁଥିବ. ତ minority revolution ତ ଏଠି ବି ଦେଖିବାକୁ ମିଳିବ ତାହେଲେ.
Yes, ସେଟା ସେ ଆଗ କହୁଛି ଦେଖ, polarization of classes ରେ basically କଣ ହଉଛି, ଯେମିତି ତମେ କହିଲ petit bourgeois ଆଉ lumpen proletariat. ତ bourgeois ତ ଏଇଟା ହେଇଗଲା, ତମର petit bourgeois କୋଉଠି ଆସିବ? Somewhere here. Okay, they are not completely as have that all the resources or control and power just like the bourgeois, the OG bourgeois we can say. They are the new bourgeois, so they are petit. They are called the petit bourgeois. And tapre tamara asila lumpen proletariat. Lumpen proletariats are the one who are even poorer, the poorest of the poor, right? In this proletariat category. Now, class polarization basically kono hochi, according to Marx. Marx said that there will be certain people who belongs to this proletariat class. They will try and work hard. तो ସେମାନେ ଟିକେ ଭଲ से काम कले कोन हो तांको ଟିକେ wage टिके हबो वेज हेले से wealth accumulation करिकी they will able to afford good healthcare, good education, and their next generation can indulge into good jobs which will help them to go up in the ladder, okay, and help them to become bourgeois. सेटा को कहा जाए bourgeoisation. So ये जो petite bourgeois जोटा हमें कहूँ, this is how they are created, okay. So people who are from this working class, they work hard and develop, they work hard and develop and accumulate wealth and go into good jobs and make a good life for themselves, and they enter into this category of bourgeois. And this new bourgeois, the term is used petite bourgeois for them, right? Now he said this opposite can also happen. Some people in this bourgeois category, due to some unforeseen circumstances or due to recession or an economic crisis, they will go bankrupt or something unfortunate situation will happen, and they will come into this category of proletariats, which is a pauperization. Okay, this is basically your polarization of classes. In simple term, conversion of one class from another class. Okay, conversion from one class to another class. Now this bourgeoisization is a very rare phenomena according to Karl Marx, because mostly this bourgeois will never let this proletariat rise up in the ladder. तांकु केबे से देवनी कि से मने केंती develop होंती. He will never allow them to develop. He will brainwash them. It will try to brainwash them or manipulate them so that they always remain their subordinate. Okay, and who helps them? This superstructure. I have given this diagram where you can see the pyramid of capitalist system. Capitalist at the top. Okay, this is your superstructure basically. This is your superstructure, and this is your proletariat class. They hold the burden of this capitalist system. Your proletariats, they hold the or bear the burden of the capitalist system. So this superstructure, like your church, religion right here, I may signify church and other governmental offices or administrative offices. Marx said that they help this capitalists to maintain their dominion. So या related गुटे से गुटे बहुत famous statement कोई थिले, if you remember. Religion is the opium या फिर opiate of masses. Okay. A statement रो दुटा interpretation अछि. गुटे Karl Marx माने एंती interpret को जानती कि Karl Marx कहले that due to this extreme exploitation that is happening in the capitalist society by the bourgeois, the worker class, in order to gain some peace, some relief and escape, he goes towards the religion. Okay, in order religion helps as a escape from all this exploitation for the proletariat classes. So it helps like a opium. How opium, if we consume some kind of drug or some kind of opium or jab enti nasa karila bhaliya jinso hela, what that basically makes us do, amar mind se kichu enti eta he ki we for the short period of time sort of get away or escape from the reality, and we forget our problems, which is why you will see in this present modern day society, most of the people indulge into alcoholism or drugs, right, to kill their depression, to escape from their depression or their mental problems or their personal problems jaha bhi hochi. So to get that escape they use this means. So Karl Marx said that religion helps in that way also. Yar out interpretation eta ki religion what it does in a negative way also, it sort of brainwashes the people and deviate them from the actual problem, right? Ebe tome if you are using alcoholism, for example, you are having a personal problem, तुमको टिके डिप्रेशन टाइप होची, तो से जिनसो रो एस्केप करबा पई यू इंडल्ज इनटू अल्कोहलिज्म और ड्रग्स. एबे अल्कोहल तमे अल्कोहल कंज्यूम करू छो या फिर ड्रग्स नो छो से पर्टिकुलर टाइम टिके टेम्पररी पीरियड लागि तुमको टिके रिलीफ मिलिबो, टिके एस्केप मिलिबो, बट आर यू एक्चुअली सॉल्विंग दैट प्रॉब्लम? नो, right? You are basically getting distracted from that problem. The problem is not being solved. So he said that religion plays such kind of role, right? So which is why se koile religion is the opium of masses. तो यार multiple interpretation अछि, एटा दुटा interpretation यार ही पारिबो. Got it? So till now any doubt or anything more that you want to include?
What is the difference between primitive communism and advanced communism?
Primitive communism होची तमरो ancient society, okay? एटा एथरे मु देछि primitive communism. अच्छा मैं उथरे कहूछि हला. When your civilization basically started, जितले civilization हमर स्टार्ट हला पूरा एलिमेंट स्टेज टिके आमे जिबा जदी, तो सेतले किछि एंती ओनरशिप प्रॉब्लम कि एंती किछि थिला? नो, राइट? एंती किछि थाइनी. People are mostly hunters and gatherers, or they you know, dependent upon the forest products and killed animals for their survival. तो hunting and gathering society थिला, right? आगो hunting and gathering. Then तापरे तमरो nomadic society आसिला. Nomadism रे कोन हला? With this animals or livestock that people had around that period of time, in that era, they started to move from one place to another. Hala? So one place to another move kono pai kale? In search of fruits or vegetables or whatever they were consuming at that period. Got it? And after some time, se mano kono discovery kale? Agriculture. So they practice shifting cultivation at that time, primitive cultivation जोड़ा. तो shifting cultivation करिके से जहाँ भी fruits and vegetables consume करथिले से माने निजे produce करिबाटा start करथिले. Now around this time, in this primitive communism time, agriculture related जदि हमें देखिबा सेतले केंती production होतिला. तो हमरो गुटे family रे गुटे small area रे से माने जिबे जितकी दरकार तंगु. For example, they need 5 kgs
subsistence farming.
हाँ, subsistence farming जोटा तमा 5 kg तंगु wheat दरकार होची. For 6 months they will produce that, and for their entire year लगे तंगु survival लगे दरकार 10 kg दरकार for wheat or rice जहाँ भी नला. तो से माने सेतकी ही produce करिवे, सेतकी ही consume करिवे, right? Slowly कोन हला से production टा टिके increase हला, increase in production हला. तो निजे जहाँ consume करूथिले but ता छोटा टिके extra produce ही जोथिला, extra टिके रही जोथिला. This extra production is known as what? What is the term?
Surplus.
Right, surplus. Surplus production हले से माने कोन कले? They use the surplus and they indulge into trade and commerce. Markets economy आसिला तापरे. आगो एटा agricultural economy और agricultural based society रो तमरो कोन आसिला? Surplus थ्रू market economy आसिला. एबे market economy रो कोन होची? जे जेतकी production करि पारला, जेतकी surplus generation करि पारला, ता पाके सेतकी wealth हिजबो. Right? Now Marx said all the conflict in the society is due to this surplus. Okay, तो एटा गला प्रिमिटिव कम्युनिज्म रो तमरो कांसेप्ट. तापरे आसला तमरो मॉडर्न कम्युनिज्म. मॉडर्न कम्युनिज्म रो कोन हला तमरो ट्रांजिशन जोटा होची फ्रॉम स्लेवरी टू फ्यूडल सोसाइटी. ओके, देन योर कैपिटलिस्ट सोसाइटी. कैपिटलिस्ट सोसाइटी रे तमरो कोन होची complete private ownership. There is dominance of your industrialist and capitalist. They decide the economic, they decide the social structure, right? They have the most influence and power in the society. Then come your socialism. Socialism ro kona haba? What is happening in socialism?
Government
Government and
private both include have.
Private or government रहबो. Private and public. But private रो influence टिके कम रहबो हला. Socialism रे mostly government रो influence बेसी रहबो, right? और last आसबो तमरो communism. Communism रो कोन हबो?
people पाखरे रहबो ownership.
People पाखरे रहबो. So community own.
Community.
So एथरो हमरे कोन होची primitive society रे, in primitive communism there is no surplus. But whereas in this kind of communism we are transitioning and we are reducing, or we are either reducing or we are redistributing, we can say. Mostly redistribution of surplus is happening.
Hello,
Hello.
ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, primitive communism रे agriculture ର practice हो नथिबो ना, ସେମାନେ केवल जो hunting gatherer ए सब थिबे ना.
That is why I said first hunting gathering आइला, तापरे nomadic system आसला, nomadic society आसला, तापरे agriculture आसला. एंती ट्रांजिशन हला. एबे प्रिमिटिव बोले कोन बिल्कुल ही हंटिंग एंड गैदरिंग थिला कि धीरे धीरे ट्रांजिशन हला, राइट? ट्रांजिशन हला तापरे जाई पे तो आ गुटे टाइप ऑफ सोसाइटी माने तमरो इवॉल्व हला. तमरो फ्यूडल सोसाइटी टा मोस्टली कोन एग्रीकल्चरल सोसाइटी को बेस्ड करी कि है एसटी, राइट?
Agriculture is started from ancient days. Primitive रे no agriculture practices थिला.
Yes, primitive रे no agriculture थिला, but I am telling how the society transition. No agriculture रू धीरे धीरे तमरो कोन आला एग्रीकल्चरल आसिला ना, हंटिंग एंड गैदरिंग थिले. तापरे धीरे धीरे तांकर मूवमेंट आसिला, मूवमेंट रू से माने स्टैग्नेंट हेले. तापरे से जो स्टैग्नेंट ही के से माने तांको प्रोडक्शन कले. This led to other transition from other or evolution from other way of kind of societies. सेटा मु कहूची हला. So to narrow down, hunting and gathering होथिला कि नहीं, agriculture होथिला कि नहीं, these are transition periods. Okay, these are basically transition period रे सब system आसिला. But important कोन सेतले surplus रो concept नथिला, right? But as the society evolved, the concept of surplus was introduced. Then in your communism, the final stage of communism, it is mostly about the distribution of resources and redistribution of the surplus. Okay, बुझलो? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. तो communism रे तम कोन होची? Communism रे तमरो distribution केंती होची?
मैम बार्टर सिस्टम होबो कि माने गुटे पॉइंट
बार्टर सिस्टम अगेन तमरो से फ्यूडल सोसाइटी को पळे आसीबो. सेटा प्रिमिटिव कम्युनिज्म को जीवनी, सेटा तम फ्यूडल सिस्टम को आसीबो.
ओहो हो हो मैम.
ओके, तो एबे तमरो सोशलिस्ट सोसाइटी रे ए डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टा केंती होची और कम्युनिस्ट सोसाइटी रे ए डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन टा केंती होची? Distribution of resources, what we can say.
Society, the government will interfere, but in communism, there will be classless society.
There will be classless society, but there will be a central government who is going to govern the distribution of resources, which is what basically Karl Marx is trying to say. Now, how is this distribution based? This is my question.
मैम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन जहाँ को जेतिकी दरकार सही हिसाब रे हवा माने फॉर एग्जांपल इफ समवन इन दैट माने के गोटे माने वीक थिबो किंबा ताको अधिका मिलिबो माने सही हिसाब रे डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हबो.
Okay, correct.
Yes,
How
yes.
socialism re? Socialism re?
सोशलिज्म रे होची जो जहा मानक पाखरे थिबो अधिक वेल्थ थिबो सेमानकठो आनिकी जहा पाखरे नीडी थिबे सेमानकु डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करा जिवो.
Okay. So basically communism re kono hoche tomaro? Based on need.
इक्विटी अप्रोच रे होई.
Right? Based on need. Whereas in socialism, based on your size of contribution. इथरे से approach ta asibo that if there is a class who has we can say there is a someone who have more resources than the one who has less, तो जाको less अछि ताकू ए पोजीशन को आनिबा पई से माने से समान प्रकार रो resources provide करिवे. Okay, so as I said, our Indian society is mixed society. Indian society more टिके socialism रे भी incline करछि आ टिके टिके हमें कहबा टिके communism रे incline करछि आ एबे धीरे धीरे capitalist turn को जाउछि. So it is a mixed economy. Socialism society रे हमर Indian society रे केनते आउछि welfare schemes. So why this welfare scheme is going on in our society or providing to the people who are basically economically or socially backward? Because we want them to come in a stage in the ladder where they will be equal with the one who have all these resources already. Okay, so socialism re se concept ta asuchi. Got it? तो एबे एतकी भितर आ किछि डाउट काकू?
What is
Madam,
the significance of historical materialism in present day context?
Present day context. अच्छा, जदि तमे को हिसाब रे को सोसाइटी को कंसीडर करबा को?
Present society. Present society, contemporary
Present society, Indian society को कि American society को?
Indian society.
अच्छा, Indian society को कंसीडर कले हमर मोस्टली हमें देखिबा Indian society is a developing economy. Yes or no? Slowly we are seeing a rise of startup culture here. Okay, but it is mostly politically inclined. तो एठी जो conflict होची, basically it is conflict of interest in the political terms. हला मो हिसाब रे मो कोची हला मोस्टली जो भी resources की कंट्रोल करची हमरो इंडिया रे
elite class, Adani Ambani, concentration.
Government and a nexus between this elite class, these two. Okay, they mostly have the control of most of the resources in India. So एबे को जागा रे माइनिंग होची, माइनिंग करिले आ तापरे जाई कि सेट्रो जोठी प्रोडक्शन हबो ता फायदा कहा को हबो? तमर एलिट और दिस इंडस्ट्रियल क्लासेस केतरा जगह रे देखुतबो इलीगल माइनिंग को भी केंती केंती करी कि फर्जरी करी कि या फिर पॉलिटिकल इन्फ्लुएंस करी कि पॉलिटिकल एंगल देखि कोन होची सेट्रे परमिशन तांको मिल जाउची. Why? There is a inherent interest of the government as well. So this thing is basically exerting a pressure over the people, the normal people. right? Normal people रे तमरो पळे आसीबे middle class and the lower classes. Upper classes रे mostly ए दुटा category आसीबे. तो although Karl Marx तांगर middle class रो concept एते discuss करनो थिले, but in India if we say middle class plays a very important role, right? They are the biggest taxpayers. The development of our country has a huge, they do a huge contribution towards the development of our country. Now, ebe jodi present budget ko bhi tome analyze karthibo jodi, you will see how it is very repressive towards the middle classes, and we can see an arising conflict between this political system and this industrial system ame koi parba, or the production system. ठीक अछि, elite system. एक दो जन को गोटे ग्रुप हे गले आ हमर जो मिडिल क्लास एंड लोअर क्लास ए माने गोटे ग्रुप हे गले. तो एडा हमें कहि परबा दिस इज sort of the conflict we are seeing in the Indian society. Okay, Indian society टिके नेला को टिके confusing हबो काहे कि India is not socialist or communist or capitalist. Entirely socialist की communist की capitalist वाली से claim करनी. Although we have in our constitution that we are socialist, but still we are mixed. हमें टिके mixed system एठी follow करूछु. तो हमें एंती categorize करी पाइबानी that exactly where it is falling. Okay.
In case of American society, it can be clearly categorized into capitalist and lower class society.
Yes, because तांकर सेठी गोटे तमे पढिथिबो American dream बोली सुनथिबो, right?
Amen.
American dream कोन कोची that if you work hard and through legitimate means, which is through education, through talent and through skills, you will acquire, or your reward will be wealth and high income. And according to American dream, the goal of an individual in the society is to acquire wealth. तो तांकर society ही based हिची acquisition of wealth उपरे, and which is mostly a feature or a characteristics of your capitalist society. So you will see it is mostly a capitalist society. कोनो से भी society entirely capitalist या फिर entirely communist ही परिबनी. Okay, that is we can say mostly communism. La, communism is an utopian concept. No society can achieve an absolute communism. It can achieve partly of it, but not entirely. Okay, got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So now moving forward, tomorrow historical materialism hela.
मैडम हिस्टोरिकल मटेरियलिज्म जेतबेला मैं लिखुछु आंसर राइटिंग माने एई सब जिंस लिखिबो पड़िबो.
सेटा तो तुम्हारा क्वेश्चन और डिमांड पड़ता हिसाब रे तुमे लिखिबो. जदि
माने की concept
analyze the dialectical materialism, historical तो आसीबनी, mostly एंती आसे कि analyze the dialectical materialism theory given by Karl Marx. हला सेट्रे से तमे लिखिबो that he was inspired by the concept of dialectics from Engels and Hegel, and concept of your materialism from Feuerbach, through which he gave his theory. And initially he rejected the concept of idealism of your Hegel, given by Hegel, right? तो एठरे मु core idea दे देछि, तो तमे एटा यूज करि पारिबो. So what does historical materialism mean? So historical रे कोन मीन करछि और materialism रे कोन मीन करछि, and how the society has transitioned from primitive to slavery to your feudal and so on and so forth. तो एठरे तमे ए डायग्राम भी दे पारिबो, इंक्लूड करि पारिबो. एठी ऊपर उड अछि एटा मो प्रीवियस क्लास रो नोट सेठरे ऑलरेडी अछि बोली म तुमको एटा ही इंक्लूड कर देछि. So you can see basically ତମର କେମିତି ଗୋଟେ oppressing class ରହୁଛି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ oppressed class ରହୁଛି, and this oppressed class, when they gain consciousness, they rise against this oppressing class, and there will be a revolution, and this revolution is going to be violent, and this violent revolution is going to lead to a change in the society. Okay, तो ता विषय तमे एंती लेखि पारिबो. Got it?
Ma'am, should we include the modes of production and the classes in historical materialism question?
ना सेटा इंक्लूड करबा दरकार नहीं. मु जेंती एनालाइज कोइली, एनालाइज तमे
Only,
खाली
ma'am,
एनालाइज
only
सेटा
briefly
को तमर
state it.
डिमांड, क्वेश्चन रो डिमांड तमे विथ रेस्पेक्ट टू योर मोड्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन एंड फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन जदी एंती किछि आइला तो से जगह रे तुमको इंक्लूड करबा दरकार हबा. राइट, मोस्टली तमर एशियाटिक मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, एंशिएंट फ्यूडल कैपिटलिस्ट मोड और प्रिमिटिव सोसाइटी रे केमती थिला with respect to तमरो जदी modes of production जदी analyze करो, जदी question एंती पचारी छी, then you will do on that basis. जदी
ଆମ
simply
syllabus ରେ mode of production ନାହିଁ, UPSC syllabus ରେ ଅଛି, OPSC ରେ ନାହିଁ.
but your mode of production is very important for
Yes,
you to
part जे
part रो अछि तो तमे सेटा तुमको बुझवा दरकार. राइट, क्वेश्चन आछे न आछे एटा टिके पर कथा, but it is important for you to understand the concept which is given by Marx, which is based on this mode of production, relation of production and forces of production. Right, so clearly they nahi, but it is a sub part of your Marxist theory. Okay, सेठरे मेंशन करिनी जेंति कि एबे हमें एबे नेक्स्ट हमर कांसेप्ट होची तमरा एलिएनेशन. तमरा एलिएनेशन रे कमोडिटी फेटिसिज्म बोली देनी, राइफिकेशन बोली देनी, एगुड़ा को टर्म. But if you know these terms, it is going to help you with your answer writing and stand out in your answers. Right, so set a part of this concept. This is a broader concept and these are part of this concept. Got it? So ame next proceed kariba towards reification. Reification term agru kebe sunicho? Reification, what do you understand by reification? Agru sunicho kebe? Am I audible?
No, ma'am. Not heard this term.
Okay, fine. अच्छा तो हले राइफिकेशन को हमें ठीक पर डिस्कस करबा. आगो हमें एलिएनेशन नो कांसेप्ट को ठीक डिस्कस कर दो. What do you understand by alienation? The concept of alienation by Karl Marx.
psychological condition of feeling estrangement.
Psychological
separation from the society माने detach feel करिवा कि society अलगा है सब.
no, not from society. Karl Marx ର terms ରେ कोन कह सेडा तो तार
Production.
broader इटा estrangement तो ठीक कहला, but estrangement from what?
Some part of the nature.
Where the workers do not identify themselves.
Estrangement from work and from oneself.
From work is what? From the
One's
production or the
production.
product, and then from his colleagues and from oneself.
Yes.
Okay, so basically according to Karl Marx, alienation is a estranged relationship. Okay, according to Karl Marx, it refers to an distorted bhi hame koi pariba, right? Distorted and estranged relationship between what? जदि हमें कार्ल मार्क्स रो टर्म्स रे कहबा, between individuals and their labor. Okay, Karl Marx रो टर्म रे individuals and their labor. This results in the ड्यू टू द कैपिटलिस्ट सिस्टम ओके तापरे जहा तुम कहलो जोटा तुम सोसाइटी रो डिटैचमेंट फील हबाटा कि जहा भी गुरे डिटैचमेंट फीलिंग आसुची that is the later concept but according to Karl Marx it refers to a feeling of distortment or a strange relationship between individuals and their labor or the process of production. Why? This is because or it is a result of your capitalist processes, capitalist system. In simple words, we can say alienation is a sense of detachment. Detachment, it start losing or declining interest from the production process, losing control over himself, and not enjoying the process of production in general. Okay, so it is basically losing interest / control over production and over himself or oneself, you can say here. This is what alienation refers to. Got it? Now, why this capitalist system is resulting into alienation? Thank you, Huchinti. Why capitalist in the capitalist system or in the capitalist process, it is leading to alienation?
वर्किंग कंडीशन से भलिया रहछि माने
जेमति
ओवर कंट्रोल थिबा माने स्पेशलाइजेशन
प्रोडक्ट रे कंट्रोल नहीं माने क्वालिटी क्वांटिटी किबा नेचर ऑफ प्रोडक्ट रे भी कंट्रोल नहीं तांकर से माने से माने बाहर किनी चंदी सेटा जे प्रोडक्ट से माने फैक्ट्री रे बनौ चंती
स्मॉल सेगमेंट ऑफ रोल असाइन करा जाउ छै समान
कोन कोन
स्मॉल सेगमेंट ऑफ रोल असाइन करा जाउ छै गोटे होल प्रोडक्शन रे स्मॉल सेगमेंट ऑफ रोल ईच वर्कर के दिया जाउ छै
ओके
कंपार्टमेंटलाइजेशन ऑफ वर्क ही जाउ छै ताकर
compartmentalization of work okay so basically in a very basic level ame jodi dekhiba first जोड़ा भी तमे सब एक्सप्लेन कलो कंपार्टमेंटलाइजेशन ऑफ वर्किंग ही गला कि जहां भी तमे बे एक्सप्लेन कलो मोस्टली कोन होची वेट अ मिनिट ओके मोस्टली कोन होची ए सब जिंस थ्रू कोन होची गुटे स्कोप मिलुनी no scope of for what creativity
yes
right why is it so why there is no scope of creativity in a capitalist system for the workers can you tell me
मतलब से माने मार्केट हिसाब रे प्रोड्यूस करबे मार्केट जेंति चाहबो सेंति करबे तांको हिसाब रे किछ
exactly
मॉडिफिकेशन करि पारिबे
yes market हिसाब रे प्रोड्यूस करजंती से माने मार्केट रो जहा डिमांड रोची they are producing that and also they are producing in the mass level mass production hochi and according to the demand of the market for example amaro jo ajikali jodi ame fashion industry ko naba that is a very very dynamic industry it keeps changing there is continuous trends and new fashion that is coming out every season right ago kono thila amaro jo indigenous artisans jetki thile or weavers jetki thile tankoro जो आमे हमर ट्रेडिशनल क्लोथिंग नहीं जीवा जदी पाटो साड़ी हला ओके संबलपुरी साड़ी हला these things are produced but not in a mass level not because they are not in demand but it requires a large time scale to produce it needs a lot of time to produce right
yes
तापरे कोन हला मशीनरीज इंट्रोड्यूस हला मशीनरीज इंट्रोड्यूस हला कोन ही जीवो जो डिमांड तो आगु थिला हाई डिमांड देयर वाज अ हाई डिमांड मु एबे फॉर एग्जांपल पाटो साड़ी को नोची पाटो साड़ी रो आगो हाई डिमांड थिला हला एबे भी अछि जदी हम बट कोन होची something that will help us to excel. Now, due to which what happened, there is mass production is happening there, which has decreased the value of the product over the period of time. Now people are moving into fashions which are readily available or easily available. Fast fashion ro concept pade asila. Fast fashion. Now je jaldi provide kari parchi, demand ko meet kari parchi, they are able to win over the market. Whereas the people who are traditionally still doing this kind of production, they are slowly being sidelined in this economy. Yes or no? So ebe kono hela, jaha bhi tomorrow demand rohuchi, according to that you have to work, and there is, which is why there is, we can say, no scope of creativity as such. jenti gute type ro jodi gute suppose red color ro pato sari famous hochi, to se red color hi produce kariba ko padibo, because that is what consumer wants, aw seta hi bikri hebo. tome blue color karo, black color karibo, ki kinibe nahi, that will pile up and you will face losses because of it, right? So there is no scope of creativity. Then factory line jodi ame dekhiba, factory line workers ro idea ko kebe use karu nahanti, jaha bhi chalchi, there is no use of their own idea. तांको आइडिया क्रिएटिविटी रो किछि यूज होनी. मशीन चलला, मशीन जदी चालू छे सेमन को सेंति काम करबा पड़बो, and that is how they have to participate in the process of production. Their idea, their creativity has no value. Okay. And last but not the least, so what important aspect of your alienation is that these laborers or these workers, they are producing something which they might not afford. Okay, they are producing or making products that they might not afford. For example, अमेटा मोस्टली कन्वेयर बेल्ट वाले जानिथिबो, राइट? कन्वेयर जो फैक्ट्री लाइन वर्कर्स माने रोचंती, तांको विषय इटा मोस्टली फोकस छै, because these are the classes, working class, who face the extreme brunt of capitalism. Got it? तो एबे जदी गुटे BMW गाड़ी रो प्रोडक्शन होछि हला, सेतिरे बोट लाइन अप वर्कर्स माने रोचंती, one will fix the nut bolt, one will fix the car, one will fix the mirror, one will fix the glasses, one will fix the seat, right? ये सब जो workers, that is not necessarily कि जोड़ा finished product होची, BMW car ते उड़े finished product होची, which will cost somewhere above your 60-70 lakh. It is not necessarily that they will be able to afford it. तो तांको mind उड़ कौन हबो कि this is something I can't even afford. Why I am producing it? How is it related to me? I am not able to connect with the product that I am producing. Right? This kind of mindset will come or not, which will install a feeling of detachment or feeling of alienation in this worker. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is what your alienation is based on. So alienation ro ebe tomoro 4 components of alienation achi, according to Karl Marx. What are they? First component,
product
production process from the environment and from fellow worker and self.
Okay, so from your productive activity, alienation from the productive activity, then from the
Product.
from the fellow worker,
From self.
and lastly from the self, or we can say the human potential that we have.
Yes.
Now can someone explain me one by one with example? Ago productive activity ro kenti alienation hochi ke jana explain karo. With example, okay? Give examples as well.
फैक्ट्री रे जेमते मशीन सब यूज होछ तो से माने डायरेक्ट इन्वॉल्वमेंट रहउनी प्रोडक्शन ये रे प्रोडक्शन से माने खाली सेटा कहते दे ओनली मेन द मशीन्स ओनली सेटा खाली ऑपरेट करंती से माने तो से पे डायरेक्ट से माने प्रोड्यूस करना आगु जेमते करथुले
ओके ऑलराइट आ ओके किछि कहबो गुड
देन तांको क्रिएटिविटी यूज करि पारु नांती जोडा तांको कमांड दिया जाउछि से लेवल रे से माने करूछंती तो तांकर जो
एग्जांपल दबा
माने करा जणे अछंती
टेक्सटाइल बिजनेस
तमे एठी ए मो जो BMW रो एग्जांपल देली राइट एटा भी एठी इंक्लूड करि परिबो इन दिस
आज्ञा
प्रोडक्टिव एक्टिविटी रो एलिएनेशन जोटा हला so basically what is happening here is the workers are making products that is going to satisfy the capitalist right so capitalist जंती डिमांड करिवो सेम कोन हला
कंटेम्पररी टाइम रे जेमति कि हमें कहि परिबा अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट गोटे इश्यू होछि जेमति कि हाई क्वालिफाइड पिला माने लोअर डिग्री जो लोअर सर्विस पई अप्लाई करूछंती त सेठी हे परिबो सेही एग्जांपल गुडा
सेटा तमरो मॉडर्न गोटे कांसेप्ट अछि हला सेथिरे बेसी एप्लीकेबल कोन सेटा मते मने पड़ने से तांको से रेफरेंस ग्रुप अंडर रे कि छोड़ देथिले से कांसेप्ट okay I will check and tell you okay anyway so सेटा गोटे एस्पेक्ट हला so basically what is happening in this society in this kind of alienation the worker is making products that is going to satisfy the capitalist and satisfy the demand of the market which is why he is not enjoying the process of production and which is why they are feeling alienated okay so now alienation from your product to kenti alienation haba
Like you said, they cannot afford the finished product. BMW.
आउ टिके रिफाइन करिके कह टिके
As soon as the product is manufactured, worker is getting separated from the product.
आउ टिक क्लियरली टिके तमो वॉइस क्लियर नाही टिक क्लियर कोइ परिबो
Ma'am, as soon as the product is manufactured, the worker is getting separated from the product.
बेसिकली देखो तमरो एठी कोन हला they are making products to satisfy the demand of the market and the capitalist okay here what is happening थरे गुटे प्रोडक्शन कला सिंपल एग्जांपल तो जदी नोची गुटे बेकरी रे गुटे वर्कर काम करछे ओके they are producing bread and cake so whatever that they are producing do they own it एबे
No.
फॉर एग्जांपल हां मु गुटे ए हां करेक्ट मु गुटे बेकरी रे काम करछि मु केक बनेली कि मु ब्रेड टे बनेली do I own that no right
No.
so even if I need that product I have to go and buy just like everyone else so ownership of the product rate narrow down amara hi jauchi right so object or the product created by the worker is for the capitalist private property and not for themselves right which is why they feel alienated this is something we are making where the capitalist is going to generate the profit or the benefit of it what about us right we are getting the same low wage amar kichi development honi kichi our situation re improvement honi but on the contrary the capitalist is taking all the benefits and profit so which is why we can say alienation from the product itself something which they doesn't belong to them something which they don't own right then comes your
Yes.
fellow worker ru kenti habo
Ma'am, competition between like we see them as a competition competing for the same kind of jobs rather than fellow human with economic interest.
Lack of communication be fellow workers
okay that is one aspect okay that is another aspect out so kona hochi as we know in capitalist system you have to work in a long stretch there is long working hours, so there is very less communication or interaction with the fellow workers. Then again tame starting re joda कहथिलो first point कोन कहथिलो कि कहथिलो जो first point कोन थिला
Ma'am, look them as a competition rather than same social being having economic interest.
yes. So basically कोन होची in capitalist system, if you are not willing to work hard or do the job perfectly, there are 100 different people who are there to replace you. And even in the same field, तुम जो colleagues अछंती, if they are working better than you, then there are chances that they will be paid more or they will be promoted. Somewhat that kind of situation. तो कौन होची competition होची among the workers, right? And तमरो due to advancement of technology भी कौन ही गला, due to advancement of technology कौन हला
सोशल मीडिया
नहीं, advancement of technology रे कौन होची
Ma'am,
तमरो
job loss hela, tankara job
हाँ
loss hela, semane they were overtaken by the technology.
machines, overtaken by the
Hmm.
machines. आगो जोटा लाइनअप एबे तमे देखिबो रिसेंटली भी जेतकी कन्वेयर बेल्ट रे जो प्रोडक्ट को असेंबल करबा हो कि पैकेजिंग करबा हो, आगो सेटा सब वर्कर्स करथिले, ह्यूमन बीइंग्स करथिले, एबे सेटा को रिप्लेस करके कोन रोबोट्स एंड मशीन्स हैव बीन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड टू डू दैट. So what number of workers have been reduced, less number of workers. So socialization जोड़ा process that which is an important process for a human being, that is being hindered due to this capitalist system. Lack of communication, more competition among the workers, this is leading to alienation from their colleagues or the fellow workers, we can say, right? Last is from the human potential. How from the human potential? Or what you said is from oneself.
The gap between inner self and outer self.
Inner self and outer self. Okay, सेटा को आउट के एग्जांपल देखि ठीक है बुझेबो, ठीक जिंस कहला आउट के एग्जांपल देखि बुझेबो.
Exploitation.
हेलो
Yes.
लॉन्ग आवर्स ସେମାନେ କାମ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ତ ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କ କ୍ରିଏଟିଭିଟି ତାଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ କ୍ୟାପାବିଲିଟି ଅଛି ଯୋଉ ଫିଲ୍ଡରେ ସେମାନେ ତା ଉପରେ କାମ କରିପାରୁନାହାନ୍ତି ଯୋଉଟା ତାଙ୍କୁ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରେସ୍ ଦଉଛି ତ ସେଠୁ ସେମାନେ ଯୋଉ ଡିପ୍ରେସନ ଏ ସବୁ ଜିନିଷ ଆସୁଛି ସେଟା ତାଙ୍କ ମାନେ ଆଲିନେସନ ଫ୍ରମ ସେଲ୍ଫ ସେ ପ୍ରୋସେସଟା ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ହେଇଯାଉଛି.
କାହିଁ କି होची से वर्क प्लेस एंती काहे की होची
मैम
लॉन्ग आवर्स
डिस्कनेक्शन
ऑफ वर्क इज नहीं, जदि तमे से वर्क ता जदि एंजॉय करथबो, so long hours of work also doesn't matter, right?
इंटरेस्ट
So
मैम
basically
ମାନେ
मैम
मैम
गोटे
डिस्कनेक्शन
माने मोनोटोनस टाइप रो काम करिकी जाउची जेहेतु कि तार क्रिएटिविटी रो स्कोप सेठी लिमिटेड ही जाउची, तापर से ताको सेल्फ डाउट आसे कि
yes.
लाइक am I doing this like एटा मोर पोटेंशियल, तो सी तार सेठू जेतले बाहरी जाए लाइक ही फील्स एलिनेटेड फ्रॉम दैट, तो दैट लीड्स मैम जो जिनसडा.
Okay, good. So basically
मैम
कोन होची वर्क प्लेस
डिस्क
जोडा तमरो गुटे प्लेटफॉर्म हेतबो for you to progress or for self fulfillment. You will feel a you know sense of achievement while you're working and a satisfaction. You're not feeling it during this work, right? You're not feeling that sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. You are feeling that there is no progress happening. I'm doing the same task over and over again, over and over again. It has become monotonous, right? Which is why you
yes.
are feeling that there is no scope of creativity. मु किछि creative करूनी, किछि नुआ करूनी, किछि progress होनी मोथिरे. So
Hmm.
you are sort of feeling alienated from your human potential. एटा हे गला one aspect, creative aspect रे गला. तापरे तमरो mental aspect रे केंती हबो, good example दियो. Obviously this also is going to impact your mental well-being, but also टिके आ कुछ नुआ example दे परिबो जदी. First, it led to less creativity. due to the monotonous work, you are working like machines, you're not working like humans, right? Then how it is impacting your mental health?
ମାନେ ସେମାନେ କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, they fail to identify with themselves, madam. ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେ creativity ଟା ହିଁ lost ହେଇଯାଉଥିବ, that they real creativity was realized through the process of production. The production ଆଉ product ସବୁଠାରୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେମାନେ alienated ହେଇଯିବେ, କାରଣ they fail to identify with themselves as well.
Okay, ସେଟା ଗୋଟେ one aspect ହେଇଗଲା of your why it is affecting your mental health. ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ aspect ହେବ ତମର service economy, ଯଦି currently consider କରିବ service economy. Service economy ରେ ତମର ଯଦି ଆମେ କହିବା hotel management staff, air hostess ହେଲେ, teachers ହେଲେ, right? They are very popular for this fake smile thing. ଆଜିକାଲି ଆମର generation ରେ fake smile ବୋଲି ଗୋଟେ, I am smiling on the on the front, but inside I am not really happy. ଗୋଟେ ସେମିତି type ର concept ଚାଲୁଛି ନା, having a fake smile, we are not smiling from within. So basically service economy ରେ ତମେ ଦେଖିବ air hostess, especially air hostess ଆଉ hotel management staffs ମାନଙ୍କୁ, they have to be happy all the time, even though they are going through crisis, even they have personal problems, they are working for 16-17 hours straight, but they have to keep a smile. Why? They have to be very welcoming towards their customer. If they are not welcoming and warming towards greeting properly to their customer, it is going to impact their image and also the place where they are working in, which is going to again impact on the owner of that place where they are working, right? So you are faking the smile, you are incapable of expressing the real human qualities due to this, right? एक रे तो तमरो lack of socialization he जाउची, due to long stretch of work, lack of creativity, and the monotonous work is making us monotony in the working system that we are working in, that is leading to make us work like machines, right? And on the top of it, we have to behave in a certain way, we have to be very appeasing, we have to be very heartwarming and smiling all the time. Teachers रो भी एंती, तमे teachers जेतकी भी problem हो से 6 घंटा स्कूल ले काम करिवे, ता छडा 3-4 घंटा से माने पुनी ट्यूशन्स करिवे, या फिर तांको पर्सनल प्रॉब्लम जहा रोजी, they will have a fake smile when they enter to the class, so that their student doesn't reflect on the students. Similarly, that is happening in your factory work. They have to keep their mental problems aside, have that in your work. So due to this capitalist system, the individual or the workers are not being capable of expressing their real human qualities. Yes or no? So this is part of the alienation from the human potential, or part of alienation from oneself. Got it? अब किसी ऐड करी बैठी? Anyone? Or any doubt?
One doubt. You said that due to automation there is job loss and people can get alienated from the fellow workers, but automation can also help in doing the mechanized work, due to which we can spend that time in doing something creative.
Okay, that is one part of it. But जब हमें present condition को जब हमें देखिबा, where we are slowly moving towards the industrialization 5.0, which is all about your artificial intelligence. Why there is constant fear of job loss, etc. जदि हमको सेंती गुटे situation थिबो जोठी machines जदि replace करचंती हमको, and we are able to spend time, then why there is crisis of unemployment, right? Why there is a situation where you have to be so competitive, so that if you are not able to, if you are failing to do your work, there are hundreds of people who are already there to replace you. We have to see other factors as well, right? The unemployment crisis and other situations. तो सेटा गुटे एंती जगह रही पारबो जोठी तमरो पॉपुलेशन कम थबो मे बी इंडिया भलिया जगह को जदि तुम कंसीडर करिवो दैट इज अ ह्यूज क्राइसिस राइट even the western countries are also very conscious about it that slowly machines are trying to replace us what about our actual human potential एबे भी जदि तमे देखिबो आजि काली रो छुआ जितकी भी हमर मु ग्रेजुएशन टाइम रे मु देखुथिली ग्रेजुएशन टाइम रे छुआ मन को एबे देखिबो कि पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन छुआ को देखिबो वी हैव टू डू आवर डिसर्टेशन एंड आवर पेपर वर्क राइट तो आगो सेटा कोन तमे जे कि फील्ड रे करूथलो केतरा जनक सहित इंटरैक्ट करिवो तमे तमरो गुटे पूरा रिसर्च गुटे करी कि तमे गुटे पेपर तमरो प्रेजेंट करिवो राइट nowadays what is happening I am seeing this constantly among the graduation students especially they are completely relying on chat gpt and gemini for all their project works so they are not using their brains they're not using their thinking abilities and their full potential to do that this is how it is replacing the machines are replacing us yes or no if you see our today's social media generation so setro
Yes,
kon
ma'am.
hochi one aspect is that positive aspect is that we get some time for socialization but it is hugely affecting us in a negative way got it तो नेगेटिव को टिके बेसी हमें एठी स्ट्रेस करबा बिकॉज़ तार नेगेटिव इंपैक्ट टिके बेसी अछि एज कंपेयर टू द पॉजिटिव ऑलराइट
Yes, ma'am.
तो ए सब जिंस को रिलेटेड गुटे तमे कांसेप्ट थिला राइफिकेशन जोरा मागु स्टार्टिंग रे कहली राइफिकेशन मींस व्हाट it is giving godly status to an object giving godly status object this thing can be linked to your what do you understand by commodity fetishism
I'm believing that certain commodities have specific powers. Like ma'am, जदि आमे नडिया नहीं जीवा फॉर एग्जांपल पूजा रे गोटे नॉर्मल नडिया टा अछि आ गोटे पूजा रे लागिथुवा नडिया तो सेटा को आमे फेटिसिज्म कर दउचंती नडिया टा को
okay commodity fetishism in terms of your Karl Marx को तुम Karl Marx कोन कहिथिले
से यूज्ड वैल्यू और कोन सरप्लस वैल्यू गोटे कोन अछि सेमती कांसेप्ट अछि तार बेसी इंपोर्टेंस रहै कमोडिटी को
ए राइफिकेशन को ही रिलेट करी कि से कहिथिले गुटे
The living condition of the worker.
माने कोन बुझुचो फेटिश माने happening there of an object or a product or a commodity especially with your luxury good so much so that if you don't own that product it means your social status your respect in the society and your entire identity is reduced or narrowed down कि तमो पाखे किछि नाही that is that kind of relation and if you have that you will be given some sort of a godly status you are some sort of a rich person or you will given high value in the society just because you own a certain object or certain product that is basically your commodity fetishism जदि एई जिंस को बुझिलो तो के कोइ परिबो अबाउट योर एग्जांपल ऑफ कमोडिटी फेटिश
आईफोन जो आज काली आसला माने आईफोन रो यूज होछि
यस तुम्हारा
एक्सेसिव
एप्पल प्रोडक्ट्स
EMI रे हमें आईफोन आनु छु टू जस्ट टू showcase
yes
the status
that is the that we can say how people are influenced on consuming or purchasing these things right तमर एप्पल हला आजकल लग्जरी गुड्स रे तमर देखिबो देयर इज अ क्रेज अबाउट लग्जरी गुड्स इन द प्रेजेंट जनरेशन इन द जेन जी स्पेशली तमर लुई विटॉन तापर गुची एंत सब जिंस विषय सो एबे तमर कंसीडर दैट you are having your marriage तमर गोटे मैरिज भलिया सिचुएशन आसिला तो से झियो घर देखिबे दैट इफ यू हैव अ गुड प्रॉपर्टी और नॉट if you own a car or not if you own a good vehicle or not right तो ए सब जिंस कोन तमर capabilities को they are judging based on the commodities that you own right if I see a person who is owning an iPhone I consider them somewhat of a magical person or a very rich person so I am narrowing down the person's abilities and his characteristics or whatever the identity of a person to a simple object that is just an object just like a normal phone but we are giving them a godly status right so why you are seeing this commodity fetishism more in a capitalist society re hi tame ei jinsa dekhibo commodity fetishism what is the reason
Giving the masses the false consciousness.
like what
Uh,
false
uh,
need Herbert Marcus
अच्छा
false need
कैपिटलिस्ट सिस्टम रे जदी कमोडिटी फेटिसिज्म इंक्रीज होची ताहले कोन हबो कार बेनिफिट
capitalist मान benefit हबो because अधिक consumerism बढ़िबो.
absolutely the main reason behind this commodity fetishism hella is increasing the consumerism or consumption in the society consumption increase habo ताहले तो प्रोडक्शन बेसी इंक्रीज हबो राइट डिमांड बेसी इंक्रीज हबो कंजम्पशन बेसी इंक्रीज हले कोन हबो डिमांड हबो बेसी डिमांड इंक्रीज हले प्रोडक्शन बेसी करिया पड़िबो प्रोडक्शन बेसी हले का को लास्ट प्रॉफिट का को हबो to the
Capitalist.
which is why you will see this craze of goods any kinds of good not necessarily luxury goods over consumption is a very huge problem in today's society and who is benefiting through that your industrialist capitalist yes or no so this consumerism is part of the is like a strategy of the capitalist society to increase the consumption increase the demand so that they can increase the production and get more profit right so which you can very well relate to the present situation right the hoarding culture where people are excessively buying things they don't need जेंति कि तमे कोई logically EMI basis रे they are trying to buy iPhones right so do you think there is any need of that buying that phone or purchasing that phone no right that is not need we can do well with a simple Android phone but still we are using our hard-earned money to buy a phone which is extremely expensive तमे से केस देखिथिबो which was very viral जो थरे गोटे वेंडर थिला मा they was she was like selling vegetables I guess and his son went on a hunger strike he didn't eat for 3 days just because he wanted the latest iPhone now consider the purchasing power of a person who is selling vegetables basically a daily wage earner what will be her affordability capacity and on top of it her son is forcing her to buy something which is so expensive on the contrary if they would use that money on something else सेथिरे कोन हेता तांगर बेसी बेनिफिट हेतिता एजुकेशन रे यूज करथांते ना किछि भी एंती गुड प्रोडक्टिव एरिया रे यूज करथांते but they use that money on this buying a object now purchasing that object they will feel a sense of they belong to a high status or they have a high status or they have more money or something like that they'll try to pretend through it in all last कोन होची फायदा कहार होची कैपिटलिस्ट ही होची yes or no
Yes, ma'am.
So this is your concept of commodity fetishism. Now due to this high demand, hela, right? तो गुटे सेम टाइप ऑफ प्रोडक्ट ही प्रोड्यूस हबो गुटे एबे देखुथबो ट्रेंड सिस्टम चलची तमरो ट्रेंड कल्चर चलची जहां ट्रेंडिंग होची प्रोडक्ट तारो संगे संग प्रोडक्शन हेबा दरकार ए जिंस रो कोन होची जो वर्कर्स बेसिकली तांको गुटे क्रिएटिव स्कोप मिलुनी जे माने फैक्ट्री रे काम करचंती आई एम टेलिंग they are not getting a scope. They are producing the same things for a long period of time unless there is a trend, then they will be replaced by another trend. So say jinsota kono hochi that is creating a monotony in their work. They're working like machines for long stretch, which is why they are feeling this sense of detachment from their production. Got it? So eta egala tamara alienation. Aw kichi doubt?
मैम जो मोड्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन आपण कहले सेटा जो दीटा स्टेज रे डिवाइड करथिले कैन इट बी आल्सो बी रिलेटेड टू द थ्री स्टेट्स इन फ्रेंच ड्यूरिंग फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन?
Yes, we can draw the similarities between the French Revolution and also with your Industrial Revolution as well, right? You can draw the similarities from that as well. The French Revolution रे तमे कला को केंती तमे रिलेट करिवो कह? Can you tell me? ठीक elaborate करिवो केंती तम French Revolution को ये mode of production सहित तमे रिलेट करिवो? Can anyone tell?
The first and second state suppressing the third state by use of religion.
Hello? Hello? My voice is audible or what?
Yes, ma'am, audible.
हाँ तो तमर वॉइस टा ठीक क्लियर नथिला आउथर ठीक कहबो रिपीट करू मु किछि माने मते ऑडिबल नथिला तो
I'm saying that the first state and the second state will exploit the third state by taxing them and through using religion.
yes perfect. तो फर्स्ट स्टेट बेसिकली किए तमर नोबिलिटी, सेकंड स्टेट क्लर्जी और थर्ड टा होची तमरो पीजेंट्स. ए जो कैपिटलिस्ट सिस्टम रे जोटा हम स्टार्टिंग रे एठी तमरो स्लाइड विजिबल अछि की?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay, let me share. So we can draw the similarities between the social division of the French society on the basis of first state, second state, third state, with the similarities with your social division in your capitalist society. सेट्रे तमरो फर्स्ट स्टेट नोबिलिटी, क्लर्जी, सेकंड क्लर्जी और थर्ड पेजेंट्स थिले सेंती एठी कोन बोर्जुआ, लास्ट रे तमर थर्ड रंग रे रोचंती प्रोलेटेरिएट आ मझरे आसले तमरो सुपर स्ट्रक्चर. आ सिमिलरली जेंती फ्रेंच सोसाइटी रे होथिला तांकर सेठी कोन थिला द थ्योरी ऑफ डिवाइन रूल. तो तमरो सेथरे सेंती कांसेप्ट थिला दैट द church, whatever the church and king are saying, they are sacrosanct because they are the descendants of God and they are here to rule the people, and the normal people, basically the peasants, are here to be ruled by them. But then as the society progressed, slowly when education started to evolve in society, new philosophers came into the society. What happened? They started to gain consciousness that these first state, second state, and mostly the monarchy, they are trying to exploit us and they are suppressing us. So what happened? These people, the peasants, they rise up against them. There came a revolution, which is the French Revolution basically, and after that your monarchy was overthrown and there was the establishment of a constituent assembly. तो जेंती से सिचुएशन टा हेथिला सिमिलरली सेटा तो पॉलिटिकल बेसिस रे गला एटा तमरो इकोनॉमिक बेसिस रे जदी कैपिटलिस्ट सिस्टम को हमें कंसीडर एंती करि परबो वी कैन ड्रॉ द कंक्लूजन इन दैट वे ओके एनी मोर डाउट्स
Ma'am, is the modes of production part of the concept of historical materialism, or it is separate?
it is a part of it because all the conflict that is arising is because of this mode of production and the relation of production especially okay owning and non ownership and non ownership joda hochi that is sort of these are the factors that are influencing this class conflict in the society so we can say this is the part of it why a class identity dekhlo ethi there is a conflict between these people tomorrow capitalist and bourgeois why there is conflict why a capitalist class is able to oppress over this working class tomorrow eta oppressed class hi gala sorry oppressing class hi gala adam workers hi gala tomorrow oppressed class why they are able to do this because they are owning the production they're owning the resources they are the haves whereas there are the has not so these are the they have the ownership relation with the product whereas they have the non-ownership relation with the product so through that way you can relate modes of production and relation of production in the historical materialism because of these factors this thesis antithesis se ki good no idea good generation hochi which is why there is class conflict in the society got it out doubt तो मोस्टली हमने आज जोड़ा तुम्हारा तीनटा कॉन्सेप्ट हिस्टोरिकल मटेरियलिज्म एलियनेशन एंड क्लास स्ट्रगल बेसिकली कौन द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बिटवीन योर bourgeois and the proletariat the owning class and the working class and the factors that is doing that jathuru hochi that is leading to class struggle in the society the conflict of interest or the battle between the haves and have not right तो ए सब जिनस हमें कवर करा लास्टली तमरो क्रिटिसिज्म कौन हबो क्रिटिसिज्म एट्रे नहीं जाइछि केतेटा पॉइंट्स तमे किछि ऐड करबा को चाहबो जदी what is the criticism of Karl Marx if I ask you that
Only based on economic concept, reductionist approach.
okay he focused mainly on the economic aspect of the society and how kon habo main jinso to eta he neglected the role of middle class whereas today all the emerging economy middle class plays a very huge role towards the contribution or the development of the economic system in a country and he overemphasis on revolution सब जिनस रे से कोन कहले इंस्टेबिलिटी विषय रे कहले कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विषय रे कहले वायलेंस विषय रे कहले खाली नेगेटिव एस्पेक्ट विषय रे कहले पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट विषय टिके बेसी एते फोकस करना हंती से राइट एंड
अगेन
आउट एटी मध्ये इची स्टैटिक व्यू ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म स्टैटिक व्यू ऑफ कैपिटलिज्म कोन से खाली कहले कि कैपिटलिज्म रे केंती प्रॉब्लम होची एक्सप्लॉयटेशन होची बट तार पॉजिटिव साइड तो से माने शो करि नांती that due to capitalism there is a scope of innovation scientific and technological advancement se सब जिंस से address करि नांती and one more thing that I said in the beginning is the lack of practical implementation of communism Marx provides little guidance on how to transition from capitalism to communism, leaving many aspects of his theory open to interpretation. This vagueness had led to the flawed implementation of communism in various countries, just like your North Korea and China. They are not the exact communism what Karl Marx talked about. They are the extreme communist. Okay, but how exactly we need to transition from that communism or achieve that communism? Karl Marx didn't clearly talked about it. Got it?
Ma'am, can you add this one, emergence of freelancing in the present scenario? Like by
Yes,
that, people can also like get their creativity intact with them and can do whatever they like.
exactly. Your startup culture and your freelancing, especially your influencer and YouTubers, se bisare to se koi na se time re tamar nathila, but in present situation we see there is rise of YouTubers and social media influencer, and they are earning monies in crores. They are being well paid, right? So se jinso ko we can say that it failed to predict the adaptability of the capitalism here. Yes or no? So se jinso ko se point out kari parinahanti in his theory or explain in his theory. Then underestimation of human nature and class reductionism. Starting with jana kahithila, I guess. Class reductionism disorder, that Marx focus on class struggle as the central conflict in society and has been criticized for oversimplifying social dynamics and ignoring their other important divisions such as gender, race, ethnicity, religious violence, religious rights, and other situation that social issues. ता विषय से किछि कहि ना this, he only focused on class struggle, right? Out tankar economic determinism जेउटा मी already कहली. Critics argue that Marx places too much emphasis on economics factor, primary driving force of history, overlooking cultural, political, and psychological influences. Although Karl Marx ro alienation tikke psychological jinso bisare katha hoji, but it is not really considering human individual psyche a lot. Okay, so tikke itke deep down psychological influence bisare discussion करनांती. But alienation, we can say that he closely took consideration about the individual workers. Got it? So it is your criticism and some more that you want to include. मोइथरे already केतरा points नहीं जाइची, तो मैं भी include करी पारिबो. So I will provide this handwritten PDF to you so that you can use this, especially this diagrams that I have given. It will be easier for you to revise as well. जेमती के diagram टा हिगला modes of production, केमती factors of production and relation of production केमती थिला in various kind of society. तो सेटा मु already दे देची एठी. So this will be very helpful for you in your revision as well.
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
Any more doubts?
Marx ଅଧିକ emphasis କରିଥିଲେ work and repetitive work cause alienation, but lot of leisure also can cause alienation.
हाँ, अरे सेटा तो तांकर गुटे ड्रॉबैक ही गला ना. से गुटे
हाँ,
पॉइंट पे गुटे एक्सट्रीम एंड को धरि के से तांकर थ्योरी को बेस्ड कर देले. But there are other factors as well that the confusion is basically arising among you कि एटा भी तो ही पारिबो, but Karl Marx didn't talk about it. That is basically the drawback of his theory, right? He didn't talk about that aspect.
Yes, ma'am.
And anything more? I hope आज हमें जितकी discussion कला, it was clear to you. And you got some insights as well. आउट के additional points जंती को मु कोई थी माने केतला statement एंती कहली, तो सेटा तमे तमरो answer writing बेलको भी use करी पारिबो, right? When you are writing about Karl Marx. तो से सब statements गुड़ा को तमे use करी कि it can help you to refine your answers and make your answers a little eye catching, right? तो सेटा use करिबो. I hope आज क्लास टा तमरो किछि भी डाउट्स थिला या फिर गोटे रिवीजन टिके क्लियरली हे गला बाकी तो तमे सब कांसेप्ट पढिछो यू नो दैट सो आ किछि जदी डाउट नाही देन वी कैन वाइंड अप द क्लास
झांसी होस्ट
PDF.
को
We
को
can
बाल
provide the PDF.
पीडीएफ टा मु प्रोवाइड कर देबी एबे क्लास सरला परे मु तुमको एटा दे देबी
Thank you, ma'am.
झांसी काइंडली होस्ट मते करिवो की
हां हां सर कर दूची
ओके
अब सर मु लीव कर देबी सर एबे
हां
चैट
तमे मते होस्ट कर दियो तापर तमे लिंक कर दो किछि
ओके
ओके
हां सर यू आर द होस्ट नाउ
ओके
थैंक यू एवरीवन
Thank you, ma'am.